People
Well, I've got another one for you. You ready? She's bright,
Always.
she's breezy, she makes the law easy, she's chatty, she's sassy. Please welcome Hattie. There you go. That's for you.
Do you know?
You can have that one as well.
Thank you very much indeed.
I overthink things. I realise, Hattie, I overthink things, don't I? I should be like Neil.
Yeah, well, it's a good way to be.
ridiculous.
Happy
I
and
can be the
chirpy.
king of overthinking.
What? I'm the king of. Who was that?
Eckhart
That was
Tolle.
Go West. It was the king of wishful thinking from Pretty Woman.
Wishful thinking.
That'd be a good spoof, actually. The king of overthinking. You're just giving me an idea for a parody song.
Okay.
Eckhart Tolle, who is somebody that I'm listening to lots of podcasts of and reading lots, says that thinking is one of the worst diseases we have as humankind.
What, thinking?
Yes, compulsive thinking.
I think thinking in the proper perspective, it's like we've made it the be all and end all. It's a good servant but a terrible master, but we've made it the master, and therefore cutting off an awful lot of other possibility by overusing the mind or using the mind in the wrong way. In my opinion,
I agree. I totally agree.
Eckhart Tolle, cool dude.
Yeah,
brilliant. His podcasts are brilliant.
It is fascinating, isn't it, gang? That whatever we touch on eventually circles back to mental health. It really doesn't matter what it is. There we had age. If you think about it, we've had Age UK, and she was delightful, by the way. I thought Abigail was just delightful. I think she's been on the show. I cut my head. God, I don't know what I had for breakfast. And it wasn't just the scammers, which are a pain in the arse, and I just put them against the wall and shoot them, frankly, as far as I couldn't give them monkeys, because they're disgusting. They're pond life. But it's the mental stress they give people who are easy, vulnerable targets. And then we're just chit-chatting here, and we're thinking about overthinking and how overthinking stresses you out because you go through every permutation, 98% of which ain't going to happen.
Statistically, 90% of what we worry about doesn't actually materialize.
97%, I read, actually. Even more.
Oh, it's gone up. It doesn't surprise me because we've got a lot on our minds, I guess.
It is. And also, Hattie, it's that 3 o'clock in the morning, everything you've ever done wrong comes back to bite you. And it shouldn't, because it's in the past. You can't undo it. I'm the worst culprit.
One of the best metaphors that somebody gave me for worrying about what has happened that we can't change is it's like driving a car. If you're always looking in the rear view mirror, you will not see what's in front of you, where you're going, the doors opening, the next day and everything else. Don't look back on the past because you can't change that. And that won't make you happier or, and it shouldn't make you sad. You should look at the now, the here. Yes. Very philosophical start to the show today,
but it's true. I just somebody sent me a podcast I recorded with them several weeks ago about radio, and of course, all they wanted to talk about was the flying eye. All I wanted to talk about was men's radio station, but they wanted to, so it's an hour thing, right? And just to round this part of it off, what I said was I loved it. I hugely enjoyed 20 years at Capital Radio. Absolutely adored it.
I used to listen to you. I was in my teens.
Yeah, shut up. Shut up, you.
I did. It used to be my morning radio. I used to listen to you all the time, every day.
On the overnight show.
At least she didn't say
I used to be in bed by then, Neil.
Normally, I look at somebody and they go, I was on my way to school. I used to listen to you. I just want to blow my brains out.
Hold on. But why do you say that about that?
I guess why? Because if I'm looking at someone, I'm not talking about you, but I'm looking at someone who I assume to be middle-aged, and they go, I was on my way to school listening to you. I go, Jesus, how old am I?
It doesn't matter how old you are. You've just had Age UK. There's nothing wrong.
You think
with
that's
being...
bad?
It's a thing with me, Hattie. It's a thing with me, okay?
But it doesn't need to be a thing at all.
I got into radio to meet people, meet the ladies. Now what do I get? Oh, my grandma listens to you.
Yeah, but hold on.
It's not funny, Russ.
Guys, honestly, I have to say,
it's not funny.
You need to get out of that mentality that if people are younger or were listening to you when they were teenagers or whatever it was, or their grandmothers used to, it's okay. That's a good thing. I think it's great.
But Hattie, all right, we're going to have a little diversion.
Are we going to get onto romance?
We will in a minute. Well, darling, let's have a cup of coffee first. Easy, Tiger. I don't blame you. I'm an
Honestly,
attractive
I think
man.
you've
but
really
take it
got
easy.
to. If someone says, "I used to listen to you when I was young," right? I think
Yeah.
that's a huge compliment. I
Okay,
really do.
And actually, if they're looking at you and saying that, Russ, they're anchoring back into when they felt young and what we were talking about before.
that is
That's actually
true. I
really
never
good for
thought
their
of that.
mind and
That's
body
true.
and mental health. So you're actually
Absolutely.
influencing mental health just by
I
being
tell
yourself,
you,
dude.
and I'm not just saying this because we're on radio.
Yep.
When I used to listen to Capital Radio and used to come on and Chris Tarrant was doing his thing, I used to feel positive, bouncy, happy. It used to give me that positive feel.
Yeah.
And you know, and I used to listen to it in the morning when as I was getting ready for school. I used to blast the volume up. That's great.
Here's the thing. I'll tell you why. I'm going to be very honest with you. Because there's so much I want to do with this radio station and with women.
Right.
There's so much I want to do. There's so much I want to do with my novels. And I can't bear that I can see the finishing line. Now you're way younger than No. Don't.
You've made the finishing line. No, hold on.
But it's no good saying no.
I hold on. Well, let me just add to that. Nobody knows when they are going to die.
That is true. That is true.
I've had friends die in their teens, 20s, 30s, 40s. Right. So you don't know where the finishing line is.
Well,
you can't say I can see it, because if you feel like you're running out of time, you're never going to do the things that you want to do every day. You're going to feel this kind of urgency, and you're going to put the pressure on yourself that you don't need to put.
Well, of course, because we've got...
Because you don't know where the finishing line is.
Well, I'm using logic for where it might be. I'm using... Worry pretends to be necessary, but serves no useful purpose.
That is one of his best lines, and I think I picked that up in his book, A New Earth. It's a podcast, A New Earth, not the book. And
look at that. Radio generates a buzz and positivity like no other medium. Yes. Absolutely right. But it was the jocks that made it. Totally so. Men's radio station is creating a new buzz.
I agree.
God bless you. Thank you.
I would tune in because Chris Tarrant or Pat Sharp or my radio heroes were on, which is what made me, Mick Brown, Neil Fox, that made me want to get into radio.
There you go.
Which was brilliant. And I've never seen the Chris Tarrant breakfast show beaten, apart from mine. But apart from that, I've never ever seen it beaten in all the breakfast shows. Not one.
It never has been.
It was so real. It was so authentic and real.
You know, you've used the word, and I was talking about it in this podcast, which will go public. I think it's going public on Thursday. It's an interesting interview because I was really, really honest about my views on stuff like that. And I said, what happened was, it was real. When the mics came off, we were the same people, but you could go to other radio stations. And I'm not saying this to knock but it's just a fact. And Neil will back me up. The mics came off. They were totally different people. They were not nice. I mean, some of them were nice and some of them were absolute monsters.
Well, I stopped listening to radio because I just felt two things. One, it was either... let's talk about the whole misery of what's going on all the time and nothing else.
Radio 4. Yeah.
Advertising just became more than I could hear music or people actually being positive on there. And then the people that were making it was just like, hey, hi. And it was all very much like that rather than, a little bit of authenticity, as you said, Neil.
Well,
and that's why I fell out of love with listening to radio for those reasons.
Neil, we were the last... All right, I'll be very, very quick because we want to get onto your subject. But let me explain this why. If you got to Capital, you were at the height of your skill. Now, I got in by luck, but you had to have been elsewhere and you had to be the best of the best. That was a fact. And then eventually it became about money. So instead of paying somebody 600,000 a year, 500,000 a year, 1.3 million a year, you're paying them 25 quid a show, plus they pay their own expenses. To your bottom line, that's fantastic. Shareholders delighted. The output and the content, dreadful.
Yes.
Yes. That's how it works.
Anyway. Actually, very interesting you say that. I read a post that my husband put out actually on LinkedIn today saying that a great leader is not somebody that just leads people, but takes care of people.
Well...
So more of that would be great.
The first fence there. We had great. You see why you loved it, and this is about mental health. And Neil will absolutely go with this. I know he will. About mental health, we had great leaders. We had the great Josephine Sandilands. We had the fantastic David Briggs. People not only were brilliant, and Joe Sandilands sadly died a few weeks ago, much too early, bloody cancer. But not only were they brilliant, and we respected them, but we worked together in mutual respect. Does that make sense? We didn't do it because we were scared. Sense. We wanted to be the best we could be.
A great team.
Because they were fantastic.
To be a team.
Yeah. And then when you go corporate, you're, I always say the phrase, you're a slave to the share price in the city who have as much imagination and creativity as my dog bowl next to me.
Yeah.
But men's radio is not like that. Men's radio does have the authenticity. It does have the team spirit and the feel to it. Where are you getting these amazing quotes from Eckhart Tolle, Neil?
He has them in his head. He's a genius.
Are you an Eckhart Tolle man? Do you like his stuff?
No, I'm quick on Google.
I love it.
I do like it. He's not my
10 out of 10 for being honest.
He's not my favourite, but I do like him.
Yeah, his stuff with Oprah is very good because they managed to bring it and deliver it in a very good way. But shall we get on to?
Yes, please.
Romance fraud, singles be aware, don't be a victim. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about this today is because criminals are turning to romance scams to capitalize on those looking for love. And this has soared, the numbers of this, what's going on, has soared by over 73%.
Wow.
Okay. And let me just put some figures into that. So put it into a little bit more perspective. So data from the Federal Trade Commission in the US, that in 2022 alone, people lost over £1.3 billion in romance fraud. This is big stuff, guys. Wow. In the UK, according to a British building society, I won't say who, losses to victims just in 2021 amounted to £91 million. And
just to put that in perspective for you, because people hear a billion, but just to give you an idea of how big that is, if I were to count to 1 million, one number per second, 1, 2, 3, that would take me 9 days to do. If I were to count to 1 billion, do you know how long it would take me?
I have no idea.
27 years.
Oh, I'm so close. Dan, what did you say? 27?
And while we're doing amazing stats, if I went to 1 trillion, it'd be 27,000 years. But that's the difference between 1 million and 1 billion. It's big.
It's big. It's really, really big. But what do we mean by romance fraud? Because people think, what do you mean romance fraud?
Yes.
It's when fraudsters pose as love interests to swindle unsuspecting victims out of piles of cash or to gather as much information as possible from you to steal your identity. So that's what is meant by romance fraud. And it is massively on the rise. And it started really picking up wind during the pandemic because people were more online than ever before. Sure. And people were isolated more than they probably ever have been in their lifetime, unless it's chosen, electively, you don't want to go out and you want to be at home more. But factually, the majority of victims of dating scams, when the ones that do report it, believe that this could never happen to them. Oh, it never happened to me. That's the first thing they say when they report it. And it is a global issue. It's not just the US and the UK, the losses in pounds and pence. I reported on a case where a lady lost £300,000 of her money. She remortgaged her home. She cashed in her pension. She lost her savings to somebody she never actually met in person. But she fell in love with this person from a distance. And we're going to talk about where you stand in terms of getting money back.
Yeah, good call.
It's rife. I mean, romance scams are rife, and it's online and offline.
Can I just say,
yes.
In fairness, my knee-jerk reaction was, how stupid. Let me get to the end of the sentence before you start throwing heavy things at me. How stupid must that person be to blow 300 grand on someone you've never met? But I am assuming they were so three-dimensional and utterly believable.
Yep.
That's all I can think, because otherwise, prima facie, it looks like you're an idiot.
Well, that's why I said first up that the majority of victims, the first thing they say when they believed it is, when they realised, is, I can't believe this has happened to me.
Yeah, because they're not stupid people.
They're not stupid people.
No, they can't be. They've got 300 grand. They can't be that stupid.
There are absolutely not stupid people. And as I said, it's both online and offline. And statistically, this is what the stats are saying. 1 in 7 dating profiles are probably fake. 1 in 7.
Jeez.
Okay. So dating scams, up to 30% of dating scams, not only do they try to get your money from you, not only do they this romance fraud and dating scams happen because they're trying to get your information so they can then pretend to be you, but they start using people as money mules, which is when the victim, unbeknown to them, is acting a middleman to receive and transfer money to fraudsters, and they don't even know about it. They're not even aware of it.
How would that in broadcast?
How can they not be aware of it? I've heard the term money mule before.
Right.
And in the context I heard it, it was young people generally saying, hey, listen, we just want to borrow your account. We're going to put 4 grand in it. You can keep 400. And then...
No.
But what would happen is they would then get flagged by the bank. The money would be frozen. And then that person has unknowingly got a drugs debt to people who might not be very nice about it.
Okay, so how they're using this in romance fraud is, first of all, obviously they gain the trust of the person and the love of the person, right? So they're emotionally, mentally suckered by this person. They believe they're in a relationship, a loving, caring relationship where they've got attention, where they've constantly got that person as part of their lives, even though they may not have never met them. And it doesn't mean you necessarily haven't met that person in order for there to be romance fraud. It goes on where they will meet you, they will wine you, they will dine you and do all sorts of things. And then they'll say, they'll pretend to be an entrepreneur. They will pretend to be somebody who works for a company abroad and, they're very wealthy. They do give that kind of persona because to take your money, they need to pretend that they've got lots of money, but they're in a desperate situation. There's something tight happening. So they might say, do you know what? I'm buying a property in Spain. I've got to get money over to Spain. My account just doesn't allow it, or the charges are too high. Can I just put it in your account for you to transfer over? I'm buying something valuable somewhere. And that's how they use you as a money mule. But that money is not actually going to go and buy anything in Spain. It's being transferred to fraudsters.
And it's illegal for us to do that, of course, isn't it?
It is.
Even unknowingly.
What did we say? Do you remember, Neil? Your ignorance to the law is not a defence. Bottom line, underline.
Can I wind back? I've got a bit lost, and it's probably just me. So the fraudster says, for whatever reason, it doesn't matter what the excuse is, but they're obviously very plausible. I need, let's just say, 10 grand because that will help me secure this property in Marbella. Is that it? I can't do it. Can I put 10 grand in your account, Neil, and you pay Hattie Savari Limited, Marbella? And I go, sounds okay to me. You say that. So I put my 10 grand into Neil's account.
Yeah.
Neil then pays Hattie Savari Properties Marbella Limited.
Yeah.
Where am I being really thick? 1, why is it illegal? And 2, where's the loss?
Right. So let's start with where's the loss.
Okay.
The loss is you're committing a crime because you're transferring fraudulent money from somebody to not Hattie Savari Construction Limited. Is actually another fraudster that's going to take the money. They're using you as a mule.
So they're using you as a pipeline.
Right.
But I haven't, just for my own clarity, I'm sorry if I'm being slow, everybody, but I haven't lost 10 grand because actually Neil's put in the 10.
This is part of romance fraud where they're using you as a mule and not actually taking your money. Now, if this is that part of romance fraud.
You're basically money laundering.
You're money laundering for fraudsters. That's one reason why you can fall into romance fraud. If you're caught money laundering, knowingly or unknowingly, believe me, your accounts bank accounts will be frozen so quickly you won't even be able to blink before it happens. And getting an account open somewhere else until you can untangle it, until you can prove your innocence, can take years. Years. It's that serious. I mean, interestingly, in Europe, apparently 63% of social media users looking to find love have been a victim at least once. 63%.
I have to just ask this very quickly once. If someone blatantly lies to someone and completely innocently and ignorantly they end up money muling, are they still going to be in trouble with the law, even if they've been deceived?
That's for the authorities to decide, Neil, because, as I said, ignorance is no defence.
I hear you, but it just seems very unfair.
Yep.
Totally
however,
unfair.
it's unlikely, I would say, that the authorities will actually prosecute you, because if you can prove you were used, if you can prove you were not actually the person involved in the scam and the fraud and everything else, then you're unlikely to be prosecuted. That's my view.
Yeah, that would sound about right.
So, okay, I mean, the most common, I mean, it just goes on. I mean, there's something called catfishing. I didn't even know what this term meant.
Oh yeah, catfishing, yeah.
When someone, takes on a fake persona. So over 25% of online dating services were catfished in a 12-month period, where there's 25% of people on there are just creating fake profiles to attract people. But the most common tactics used by fraudsters, and this is what I'm trying to do, just bring people, a little bit of information and something to think about, is obviously their dating apps. So fraudsters are using dating apps to sucker in their victims. And apparently the top 3 apps that are being used are Plenty of Fish, Google Hangouts, and Tinder. Top 3 apps used by fraudsters trying to attract people into, romance fraud, either to take their money, to take their identity, or to use them as a mule.
I'd never thought about taking their identity or the muling aspect. I knew about the money aspect.
Nor me.
Yeah.
This
is why it's soaring, Neil, because it's not just I'm going to fool you into giving me $5,000 or $500,000 or whatever, because there's big money involved here for people, because they're going after mature people. They're pretending to be whoever they are to attract, people who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, because they're the people that have got more time, that it's a fact, than a teens or a 20-year-old who's out all the time or got their friends groups or whatever, or don't have much money to their name anyway at that age.
And at the other end of the scale, Hattie, of course, where catfishing is disgusting, is where they're grooming.
Yeah.
Where an adult man is pretending to be a 12-year-old girl and spends months grooming another.
Well, let me throw this at you.
It's just repulsive.
I read an article, and I actually couldn't finish reading it, because I thought, no, I'm not having any of this, where a person who was pretending to be a child to lure in a child for child abuse said, well, I identify as a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Really?
I identify as a guy with a gun.
And I said, I can't read the rest of that. And
no, it's
and
disgusting.
That probably is another show for another
disgusting.
time.
It's disgusting and it's repulsive. And this, Hattie, I'm really sorry. I mean, it's just like a red rag to a bull.
No, I was on a dating
This is where
site
we're
once,
heading. This is
and
where
I don't know how
we're
many
heading.
people were trying to scam me, but the only contacts I got were, how can I say this nicely, professionals looking for business, shall we say.
Oh.
I mean, I asked for a picture and I got a
Any
price.
good?
I'm not joking.
Any good?
I didn't sample the wares. Thank you very much.
Well,
right, there you go. You got your answer, Neil.
You're a lousy consumer expert.
The top methods used by scammers to take money from their victims include cryptocurrency is the most used method, because if they get you to buy cryptocurrency and send it to them, it's almost untraceable. Bank transfers, very, very common. Gift cards.
Sorry.
Payment apps.
Hang on, slow down. Bank transfers?
Gift cards.
Oh, gift cards.
So they'll say, send me a gift card.
Yeah.
Online, you can buy gift cards online. You don't even need the physical versions of these things anymore. Payment apps or services. So you've got PayPal, you've got Payoneer, and different apps and things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the stories, I thought this was fascinating. The stories that scammers used to get their victims to start parting with their cash once they've gained your trust, okay, so gaining your trust could take days, weeks, months. They will nurture that relationship until they feel they've got you. Is I or someone close to me is sick, hurt, or in jail. I need money.
Yeah.
I can teach you how to invest. Let me invest for us. I actually had another case where a lady was scammed thinking she was buying a property with the person that was scamming her and that she thought she was dating. He actually even showed her joint bank accounts where she was transferring the money to. Of course, it was all fake. The bank statements were fake. There was no joint bank accounts. So she thought that she was transferring money to him for him to put a deposit for a property, and they were finally going to meet and live happily ever after.
You're right. This is from Ramsey.
Yes.
Could you answer this one? Hattie, I have to read this out because of everyone listening on Deluxe Radio.
Yes.
Hattie, if the scammers have bled their victims dry, why would they want to adopt their persona? I don't get it, says Ramsey.
Right. So they don't necessarily want to take your details once they've taken all your money. They could be trying to take all your details and actually not take all your money. So once they've got your personal details, they can then pretend to be you, to take out loans, to borrow money, to buy things, to create fake bank accounts, to create fake credit cards. So what we're saying is romance fraud, the top 3 methods of it is 1, actually to get your money from you, or 2, to take your identity to be able to become you and then live a life as you and your name and your details, or 3, to use you as a money mule.
How
to transfer
can we
money.
Protect ourselves? Very, very quickly. This is a good movie on Netflix. This is all about romance fraud, and it's a fantastic movie, and it's a fantastic cast. Ian McKellen.
That one, yes, I love that one.
It's got a lovely twist at the end.
There's also one called The Tinder Swindler, which is a true story.
Swindler. I was angry.
Have you seen
days after that? Days I was angry about that.
Oh my God. I still see that picture where he kept sending himself in the ambulance with his bodyguard covered in blood and asking for the emergency money in The Tinder Swindler.
Brutal.
Right. The law. Okay. In the UK, it's very simple. Fraud by misrepresentation is a criminal offence. Section 2 of the Fraud Act 2006 for anybody that's interested. And the maximum sentence linked to romance, fraud and money laundering could be up to 14 years imprisonment. However, let's talk about what do you do? Okay, what do you do? You've been caught up in a romance fraud. You've sent money through your bank. You want to try and get the bank to say, we want to give your money back. It's quite simple. If you've knowingly sent the money, and this isn't going to be good news, I'm afraid, the banking world sees this as something called an authorised push payment. And it could be difficult to get your money from the bank.
Oh, dear.
So it's not going to be looking good at all. However, if you think you've been a victim, you need to report it to your bank immediately. You can also report it to Action Fraud, which is actionfraud.police.uk. I have a phone number if you guys want to put it up.
Oh, Neil Nimblefingers will get that done in a second.
And there are solicitors out there, guys, that are stating that they will act for you on a no-win, no-fee basis and try to get your money back if you've been caught up in romance fraud that you may wish to look up. I can't personally recommend anybody because I don't personally know any firms.
Is that right, Hattie, what I've put on the screen?
Actionfraud.police.uk, please.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. So 3 signs to look out for. Okay, if their profile looks too good to be true on a dating site, it probably is too good to be true. That's the first thing. The second thing, if they want to switch platforms quickly. So if what fraudsters do, they meet you on these sort of predominant platforms, but they try to move you away from those platforms, from reputable sites, to start chatting by text, WhatsApp, email, or however
exactly
else.
What happened on the one I got the other day. It was a random text and they said, can we meet on WhatsApp? And if you want to see me do a little bit of karma, it's there to watch. Go on.
Well, this is it. And then if you've never met them in person, but they promise to meet up and cancel for any reason. They try to avoid camera contact. You know, they say they could be living abroad as a soldier, a medic, as I said, entrepreneur, or somebody who's a high flying, you know, somebody working in you know, some company somewhere. It's that is, they are alarm bells. But they can even use stolen passports and ID documents to try and prove to you, look, it's me, look at my passport, this is my passport photo, you know, screenshot it and send it to you. You know, just, I tell you, my key tip on this topic has to be, don't feel ashamed or embarrassed to report it.
Right.
I mean, surely the rule of thumb is, unless you know that person and unless you're face to face with them, don't give them any money.
Neil, it doesn't work like that. This is why the US is up to their eyeballs in billions. We're heading to hundreds of millions in losses because people genuinely believe that what they're being faced with is a real romance. It's real. They're being told things they probably haven't heard for a very long time.
Yeah.
You know,
So
in
cruel.
terms of emotion.
It's
it's
so
disgusting. But that's fraud.
You know, even
Really
bank robbers have more morality. I know this sounds weird, but when you think about it, people going in with balaclavas and sawn-off shotguns have more morality than these people.
It's awful. It's awful.
I
They
know
prey
that
on
sounds
vulnerable
contentious.
people.
It's vile.
They will get romantically romance somebody very, very quickly. And, you know, online these days, as we are at the moment, is more acceptable than ever. So the job for them is easier.
And the pandemic propelled that, didn't it?
Absolutely. It's easier than ever. But be suspicious of any requests for money or gifts or money transferring, particularly.
If at all possible, and I know you say it doesn't work that way, but if we can get this in people's heads, I believe you, Hattie, but if at all possible, if you don't know the person personally, and if they're not standing in front of you, because it could be someone pretending to be someone, don't give them any money.
But I agree with that, Neil. But there's also those that actually will meet that person in person. They will coerce them. They will, you know, look at what the Tinder swindler done. He spent a few weeks with that one, jumped onto the next person, spent a few, and that's a true story, spent a few weeks with the other person. So it doesn't necessarily mean always that if they haven't met you in person, that they are not necessarily a fraudster trying to just get your money.
Yeah.
It's but the one thing is that we're not putting into this equation is there is a lot of very, very, excuse me, lonely people. And this is manna for heaven for them. And they want to believe it. And that's
if you would like to see a little bit of karma and have a good laugh at a scammer's expense for a change, just go to my Facebook wall, Neil Long 1078, facebook.com Neil Long 1078, and you will see what happened when a scammer tried to scam me. And it's quite funny.
Hattie,
I'm going to have to watch that.
We all will. Hattie, thank you so much. What a fascinating... You bring up the most fantastic subjects. Really appreciate it. Neil, welcome. Ken back, and probably with an entire wine tasting, knowing you guys. Until Friday, take care, everyone. Bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.